in 2011 after the earthquakes in Christchurch. And to some extent, the earthquake over the last 10 days has reinforced why it's important to have a Eureka Trust doing what it's doing, because once again we had people out there saying, oh well, the earthquakes were caused by research ships testing the ocean floor to see if there's oil down there, that the supermoon caused the earthquakes, and that sort of scientific, non-scientific nonsense. I could expect that to come from someone like Peter Cullen, but a scientist like yourself.
I told him to stay out there.
Anyway.
People are evil, that's why, that's
So let's, the presentation today will take, there's three parts of it. I'm going to do Christmas past, Andrew is going to do Christmas present, and Russ is going to do Christmas future. Yes, well, we can do that too, if you'd like, but you've got to produce the music. Okay, so we were set up, the Eureka Program was a program that was actually set up as a committee of this club back in 2011, after we had a visit from Hadley Frost, a 15-year-old student from Lincoln High School, out at Lincoln in Christchurch, who impressed the socks off me with his passion for his subject, physics. And part of the reason for bringing him here was to generate the same sort of reaction amongst members of my Rotary Club, but also to introduce him to Paul Callaghan, who we knew at that time was suffering from a terminal fatal cancer. And Paul was here in this room when we met Hadley, and he was very impressed with him, and out of that came a discussion which led to the creation of the Sir Paul Callaghan Eureka Awards Program. So there was a single national competition in 2012, and entries were done online. And Russ and the judging panel at the time awarded the Premier Award to an entry from a young man in Christchurch called Hadley Frost, who, I have to say, and with quite a great degree of pride, 2 years ago was awarded a Rhodes Scholarship to study at Oxford as a 19-year-old, the youngest Rhodes Scholarship that had been awarded in New Zealand as far as we can find out. So we went from a single national competition and decided that we needed to prepare the students for participation, and ran a series of regional workshops in 2013. They became a feature of the program from that point on. Also in 2013, the decision was made that this was going to be a significant activity, and it would be better to establish a separate trust to take on the financial and legal responsibilities of the program. And that trust was established as the Rotary Club of Wellington Eureka Trust and registered as a charitable entity in 2013. The four initial trustees were Russ Ballard, who's become the chair, Lee Wilkinson, Anthony Scott and John Bosher. Unfortunately, Lee's not here and Anthony's not here, but the other two gentlemen are here. We have up to 3 independent trustees. Dr. Jim Callaghan, Sir Paul's brother, is one of those. Evan Brenton Rule, who was our second winner and was doing his PhD at Victoria University, is another. Neville Jordan was, until he became the Chancellor of Victoria University, and felt that was a conflict. And we are constantly looking for appropriate people to become independent trustees. From 2014, we ran regional competitions, and the plan there was to have those regional competitions run by Rotary clubs outside Wellington to engage them in the program, because this is a program which has significant national aspect. And Fortunately, there have been a number of Rotary clubs which have been consistent partners. It's been a bit patchy here and there, but we continue to work on that. And at that time, we established a national events committee of this club, which runs the awards dinner, the national finals, national programs, and that's been very ably chaired by John Emanuel, who is here somewhere. Where are you, John? Hiding at the back. And that committee has engaged with a significant number of the members of the club. I won't go through naming all of you, but it's been a great support to the trust to be able to have that committee organising the major events on an annual basis. We've had very significant success with sponsors, and up there are the names of a number of the sponsors, but in particular I want to mention the support given by Chris Parkin, Jim Greenhoff, a Rotarian who was at Wellington South and is now in Auckland, and Mark Stevens in Capiche. Most of that support has been either in cash or in kind, but we wouldn't have been able to do the work that we've done without the support from other members of the club. In 2013, we were successful in gaining vice-regal patronage, and I'm pleased to be able to announce that 2 weeks ago we received a letter from Dame Patsy Reddy, the new Governor-General, that she has agreed to continue our vice-regal patronage, which means that we will be able to hold our national finals awards dinners in Government House as we did from 2013 through to 2015. We were unable to do that this year because it came at the point of interregnum, and so we ended up in Parliament buildings in the Grand Hall, and we were hosted there by the Hon Hekia Parata. The Eureka Alumni Trust was set up in 2015 and now has 60 eligible members. The alumni, of course, are the students who make the national finals or are awarded scholarships through the program, and that's going to become a real force. And from my point of view and from the Trust point of view, a large part of what we're aiming to do with our program is to generate this group of passionate, young, engaged, eloquent advocates for science and technology, engineering and maths as one of the fundamental bases for making decisions about the future of our country and our town. The prizes that we now award as part of the Eureka program, in terms of cash prizes for finalists, we're awarding $37,000 a year at the national finals, and we're also awarding somewhere in the order of $25,000 to $28,000 worth of scholarships each year, which are funded by our sponsors. So we've got about $60,000 worth of value going out of the door each year on the basis of the relationships that we've developed. Total sponsorship now is nearly $190,000 a year. In terms of participants, we have tended to get participants from schools and universities where there are teachers who are passionate about Eureka and understand the value of what it's doing. And so we get repeat participation from those particular schools. The extraordinary thing is that for some schools where, like Wellington College, we've never had a participant from Wellington College, and we're still trying to find out why that's happening. But I have, as a result of a dinner conversation on Saturday night, got an advocate at Wellington College. Success breeds success, and I think that we've all known that, and this program proves that. I have to say that my old alma mater, Scots College, has had the most success of any school, and that's got nothing to do with me. We have tended to get more secondary school students than undergraduates participating, and that's one of the issues we're seeking to address at the moment, though we do have a pretty even split between male and female in terms of entrance. It's not been the case in terms of winners, at the Premier Award level, we've had one female student, secondary school student, who won last year. Jennifer is, she's fantastic and she will go a long way. But we have been a little bit boy dominated at the top. Not sure how we're going to address that. Maybe the chairman of the trust will think about that. It is a fact, and it's become really apparent, that to be successful in Eureka, students have to spend a considerable amount of time and effort to put together a presentation which puts them into the finals, into the possibility of winning. We have launched an online workshop, which was part of our development over the past 12 months. So the only other thing is that, as I said before, the alumni, I think, are a very fundamental part of what we're about. And so, to introduce one of the latest members of our alumni group, I'd like to introduce Andrew Tang, who's a Year 12 student at Scots College. He won the Premier Award this year. The previous year, he was one of the runners-up. He followed up his victory this year with a visit to Silicon Valley as part of the Young Enterprise Trust, and he was also nominated for Young Wellingtonian of the Year. His presentation this year was about using algae to create biofuel. I'd like Andrew to come forward and give his presentation.
Good afternoon. Let me just start by saying that this speech was no easy feat to write. I'm sure we've all been there before. That moment when you sit down, all ready to start writing, and nothing really comes to mind. Well, for me, it was quite the opposite. Today, Francis asked me to speak about my experiences as a Eureka contestant. And when I sat down to write the speech, a myriad of thoughts, feelings, and memories suddenly sprung to mind. And frankly, there's no way that I'm going to be able to condense all these experiences down without losing your attention. So today, I'm going to share just three ways that my Eureka experiences have profoundly changed my outlook on life. And at the end of these three stories, I'll be happy to field any questions. After all, this is your time, not mine. So to illustrate the first point, I'm sure you all have some idea who Martin Luther King Jr. is. But can any of you tell us the title of his famous speech? That's right. His speech was I Have a Dream. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't say, I have an idea, but rather, I have a dream. Why is this? Earlier this year, I watched a little TED Talk by a guy called Simon Sinek, titled Start With Why. In a nutshell, his message was that people will believe in you, buy from you, vote for you, or do whatever you want them to do if you can convey why you're doing what you do. His point was that too many people in this day and age talk about what they're doing or how they're doing something, but miss out on the why. And that's a message that really resonates with me from being a Eureka contestant. From the very get-go, the Eureka workshops made it clear that the idea we're pitching needs to be a solution that addresses a problem. And that problem could be one of New Zealand's 11 national science challenges. From resilience to nature's challenges, to high-value nutrition and ageing well, these 11 challenges encapsulate the bulk of the work that scientists in New Zealand do. And these 11 challenges distinguish Eureka from any other science competition. Whereas most students submit a science fair project for the sake of submitting a science fair project, it's different with Eureka. Students come with a passion, and students come with a purpose. And it's this sense of purpose that compelled me to enter Eureka for the second year in 2016. As someone who's interested about the effects of climate change and has studied various energy sources, I wanted to prove that we as a country can challenge the status quo and set an example to the rest of the world. So I set off to find a way to grow and harvest algae for biofuel in New Zealand that will take advantage of one of our most abundant resources, seawater. Now, as a high school student, you hardly get the chance to engage with science that has the potential to make a tangible contribution to society. And the satisfaction of knowing that you're contributing to the greater good is what makes me such an avid supporter of the Eureka Program. For me personally, this lesson of starting with why is one that has given me a renewed sense of purpose in life. It has helped me to clarify the direction I want to take with science, and it's a lesson that I think we should all be more aware of as we go about our day-to-day proceedings. But that's not the only real-life lesson that Eureka has helped me to discover for myself. The second lesson that my Eureka experiences have taught me is that you can't really have science without business. And the reasoning for that is pretty simple. You've got limited funding. You need to achieve a certain rate of return. It sort of reminds me of the board game Monopoly, where you start with some amount of cash and try to maximise the value of your portfolio. I guess science isn't really too different. You have a certain amount of funding allocated each year and want to maximise your result with that funding. So you obviously have to consider the costs and benefits of every decision. Eureka emphasises exactly that. If you have a look at the judge's scoring sheet, putting forward a business case constitutes a large proportion of the final mark, so your idea really does have to be realistic. It's taught me that while it's okay to have pie-in-the-sky dreams, these won't turn to fruition without a well-developed business case. Although this may not seem too important superficially, the idea of cost efficiency hugely influenced the development of my idea. Although it's all well and good to say that we will grow algae in the ocean because it's cheaper than an artificial pond, that alone didn't seem like a compelling case. So at the hint of one of my teachers, I went and researched how we could integrate a Japanese paper fold into the design to improve its versatility and surface area, and thus its cost efficiency. This taught me that all good ideas need to be realistic, and while it may be satisfying to be personally invested in out-of-the-box ideas in the short term, any ideas without financial justification will fall short of fruition in the long term. Finally, my Eureka experiences have taught me the importance of being part of a good community. I remember that when I was younger, I'd always hear a Māori proverb from speakers at school. You've probably heard it before too. It goes, what's the most important thing in the world? It's the people, it's the people, it's the people. At the time, I didn't really understand the significance, but it's something that Eureka has allowed me to truly comprehend. I recall that at the finals last year, I was really nervous. I'd never been naturally amazing nor confident at public speaking, and to this day, I still get the butterflies. Having to present alongside university students didn't really help either. However, everyone who was competing and everyone who was helping to organise were really friendly and supportive, and that was undoubtedly what got me through. Unlike many of the other competitions out there was never a sense that we were competing against each other, but rather a sense of community supporting each other's ideas. And I do believe that is attributed to the event being spread amongst 3 days, with 2 dinners and an alumni forum in addition to the symposium itself. This was the personal highlight of my year, because not only was it a fantastic opportunity to meet many like-minded students, but it also gave me a rare chance to interact with many distinguished members of the scientific community and hear about how they were making a difference. So when it was all coming to a close and we were leaving to our respective hometowns, I felt a tinge of sadness for what was the end to a profound 3 days of my life. But never did I expect the alumni group to be so active and inclusive, and the alumni forum to attract so many past participants. This alumni forum was held in February of this year, 5 months after last year's competition. Yet, it drew participants from far and wide, even those who had competed in 2012, back with the inception of the Eureka Program. Being reunited with many of the contestants and being able to meet many others who had done it all before truly proved to me that participating in Eureka is the beginning of a lifelong journey. A journey that opens many doors and has provided me with ample opportunities, just like speaking to all of you today. So that's where my journey has led me thus far. And to finish off, I just want to say I hope I've been able to give you a news perspective on how profound an impact the Eureka program has had on students like myself. But most importantly, I want to thank each and every one of you for contributing to the culture and community spirit of the Rotary Club of Wellington. Having participated in the Eureka program for 2 years now, I've been able to appreciate the extent of all the behind-the-scenes work that this Rotary Club has done to ensure the successful running of the symposium. Without your support, the symposium would not be possible. So I'm very grateful for the significant impact that you all have made. It has truly been an honour speaking here today, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Andrew. I've got about 1 minute. As a board of trustees, of course, we keep our eye on the future. And following our 5th national event, we reviewed our strategy and developed a new set of initiatives to support that strategy. And I just want to quickly touch on those ones. So those are the key strategies. I think you can read them. The most important one is probably the first sub-bullet point on the top one there, to engage young students from year 4 onwards. We just recognise that our purpose here is not only to produce eloquent, competent young scientists who know how to communicate to decision makers and the public, but we want to recruit more and more people into the STEM subject areas, and to do that we've got to get them engaged early. So you'll see that in our initiatives.
What's year 4, Russ?
Year 4, 4th year in school.
8 years old.
8 years old.
Thank you.
So that's primary school.
8 years old.
Okay? Science, technology, engineering and math. We want to build sustainable funding. At the moment we rely upon individual sponsors and getting them every single year. Some of them sign up for 3 years. Our intent is to try and develop a more stable base for that, particularly when you look at the initiatives that we're interested in. The rest of them should be pretty apparent. Those are the associated goals. There are 4 A's. The 3 A's we always had, but now that we're becoming a larger, nationally significant organisation, we added the 4th one on, which is to have a sound governance and administrative system and processes in place. And we've got a number of us in there who keep our eyes focused on that and make sure we have good policies and systems and processes. So that's our administrative goal. Associated with our review of our strategy, we also, associated with our 4th strategy, got Tony Hassett to have a look at our governance and administrative processes to make sure that we were fit for purpose going forward. And Tony has completed his review, and he's given us a few things that we can do to improve ourselves. Generally gave us a pretty good tick. But we will position ourselves, make sure we're fit to be the organisation that we want to be, which is substantially larger than what we are right now. So that's the governance bit, done by Tony Hassett. And we are also looking to engage more with our sponsors and other stakeholders, because we think there's a lot more value in enhancing that engagement than they get right now. And this very afternoon we've got the first meeting with a group of our sponsors to look at how we can get them, and they can get more value out of engagement, both with the program and with our alumni, which, remember, has got all the good young future leaders in it. These are the initiatives. The first one up there is we're going to create a virtual region, and this is up to date. In the first 5 years, it's been pretty well restricted to those kids who can get into the university town. So it's a small catchment area. We're going to introduce a virtual region this year for people to be able to enter directly through submitting a video of their thing, which will enable our catchment area to extend fully out to the whole of New Zealand. Young Eureka Awards, we've had a trial this last year, and with the Ministry of Education this will be now introduced as a standard part of the curriculum, available for any school to introduce it and use it, and we will provide support backing that up. And in addition to that, the Ministry of Education has worked with us to ensure that the presentations given by participants can be eligible for CEA achievement credits, which will give an incentive to teachers and to students to participate. So our junior Eureka program in the first instance will be years 4 to 6, and then that will happen this coming year, and after that it'll go from 7 to 10. So we'll have 1, 2, 3 steps before you get into participating in our national one, and then going into our alumni pool. The other thing that we've been doing, we've been working very closely with NIWA, who run the Science and Technology Fairs, and in conjunction with that we will be running a communications event which is done by video. I think they run about 6 a year, and we've already developed the requirements and the processes for that. So this is another one which will provide enhancement both to the Rotary Club of Wellington and to the Eureka name, and to get more kids participating and communicating about science. For our graduates from the program who are into the our alumni, we've worked out a deal with the Callaghan Institution, and they are going to make, I think it's up to 10 of their internships and fellowships available through our program exclusively for our alumni. So again, that'll be a top-end pull for people to participate. They just recognise the quality of the people that we've got going through this program now, and so that will come into effect from next year. And we're looking to further enhance the role of the alumni. This is a very great asset that we've got with all these young people, and so we want them to be champions out there, participating with schools, helping to spread the word, etc. So we'll be doing that. Thank you very much.
Well, a great summary, great look at the whole business of Eureka, and I think it's something that this club can be very proud of, and certain people in this room can be very proud as well. So thank you. Very quickly, members with interesting events, are there any? I'm sure there are.
Ko rāna whānau. So as I mentioned before, and as you know from my email, this coming week, coming up on Monday the 5th, please bring in contributions for us to give to the Wellington City Mission. I'll be sending out an email later on tonight. If those of you who are not available, we've got a drop-off point here in town that will be available from tomorrow right through until the 8th next week, when we'll do the final full drop-off to City Mission. This is one of the only 2 things that this club gets behind in a year, so please give generously. Many thanks. Ko rā.
Tēnā koutou katoa. There's an envelope with your name on it sitting outside to the right of the door there. Would you please pick it up on your way out? It's the Jumbo Tennis raffle ticket. The prizes include a stay at the Bay of Many Coves, and the good news about that particular prize is that only Rotarians win it, and I was fortunate to win it last year. There's also the Museum Hotel and the White Swan, so please pick them up and sell them for Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been a packed meeting, and we managed to fit in some fellowship time, which is good. And thank you for your forbearance that we are running a little bit late. Thank you to all our speakers. Thank you to our guests, Nicola, Andrew and Jack, for being here. You're always welcome. And some of you will remember that when I was president, I used to finish the meetings with breaking news. And but I have some quotes here instead. All right. All right, breaking news. The United States President Barack Obama has revealed that before he leaves office in January, he'd like to fulfill his greatest ambition of putting a man on Mars. Hillary Clinton has said who she would like that man to be. And finally, Samsung have announced the release of their new firelighter. Thank you. Have a good week.